thing that you want to make sure is that you have one person, one background, and then you and the photographer did not move, that it was just your subject that was moving to different locations. This is going to make it easier for you to actually cut and paste because we're going to use our marquee tool or our rectangular select tool in order to select your subject. The next step, once you have opened, and you go to File and Open, and you've opened up your 5 or 6 images, the more you have, the better, because you can always decide if one doesn't work to get rid of it. What you're going to do is resize. So make sure you resize all of your images. You want to go to Image, and you want to go to Image Size, and you're going to change pixels to inches. I would make them smaller, so I changed my width to 5. When I clicked on the height, it automatically constrained the proportions. And then the DPI is going to be 300. And then you're going to press OK in order to accept. All right. You want to make sure that all the images are the same size, because if one is bigger than the other, when you go to copy and paste onto your background, the image will be too big. So they all have to be the same size. The photos have to be the same size in order for it to work properly. Next, you're going to decide what one do you want to be your background. So I'm going to use this one as my background. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to copy and paste the other ones onto this one. So this one right here, I'll use as my background. I'm going to select the first one that I want to use. I'm going to go over to my rectangular select tool, and I'm going to make a selection. I'm actually making a selection bigger than my subject because I'm going to use the parts right here of the slide and the grass in order to line it up. I'm going to go Control C to copy, or you can go Edit, Copy, and you're going to select the one that you wanted to use as your background, which one is right here. I'm going to go Control V in order to paste. So now if you look over onto my right-hand side, you're going to see that you have your background, you have your layer 1. I'm going to go up to the left in my toolbar to my move tool, and I'm going to move it in order to line it up. So one of the tricks I use in order to line it up properly is I go over to my toolbar and I go to where it says opacity, and I try and make my picture that I just copied over transparent, and I line it up. And then I move the opacity back up. This just helps me line it up good. Now, I can still see some areas where the edge looks a little bit different. So in order to remedy that, you could just get your eraser and erase it. I like to make it a non-destructive edit. So down at the bottom where you have your little rectangle with the circle, the add vector mask, I'm going to add that layer mask. I'm going to make sure my foreground is set black to white, and then I'm going to grab my brush tool, and I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger, and I'm going to also up at the top make it softer so that it blends, and I'm going to blend my edges. So this way you cannot tell that this was kind of copied and paste and that it was lined up. If you notice that as you are trying to erase, if things don't look like they're lining up, you can always still take your move tool and you can, continue to edit. But I'm using a layer mask in order to blend because it's a non-destructive edit. So if I wanted to take that and I wanted to delete it, I could do that without ruining my image. I could also go to my history and I can go back, or you can do Control Z to undo. So there I have my first one moved in. Then I'm going to go and continue. I'm going to go again. I'm going to get my rectangular select. I'm going to just select the bigger portion than I actually need. Control C to copy, or if you forget the shortcut, Edit, Copy. And then I'm going to go back to my Mult.Person, the background. I'm going to go Control V to paste, or you can go Edit, Paste. I'm going to use my move tool, which is at the top left-hand side. I'm going to zoom in, And I'm going to try and line that up. Lines up pretty well. I can use my opacity over on the right-hand side near my palette in order to, make it a little transparent. Add my layer mask, black to white over on the bottom left-hand side. Grab my brush tool, and I'm just going to kind of blend it in the areas right here. You still can use your move tool. I'm going to go to my picture, make sure the opacity is back up, and make sure when you're going to blend that you're actually on the layer mask. Otherwise, you're painting on your picture. Again, if you make a mistake, you can always go back in your history right here. So I can go right to where it was when I moved it over. If you start from that point, you kind of delete where you were. Again, I can get my move tool. I'm going to move it down a little bit. There we go. It wasn't quite lined up. And if I like the way it looks, Control-0 to fit back to screen. Now I have 3. I'm going to add 2 more. Now, one thing that might happen is you might have taken a picture. So if you take a look at this picture right here where he's coming down the slide, obviously I can't use this picture because if I were to use that picture where he's coming down the slide, it would block that one. So that one's going to be a wash. I'm not going to use that one. But I will use this one where he's at the top of the slide. So again, I'm going to go to my rectangular select. I'm going to make a bigger selection that I need, Control-C to copy. I'm going to go to my background, Control-V in order to paste. Make sure when you paste that you are selected right here on the picture, so Control-V and not your layer mask. Otherwise, it will paste in the layer mask. And I'm going to zoom in. It pretty much fit in pretty perfect. I'm going to add that layer mask on the bottom right, black to white, get my brush tool. It's already soft. I'm going to soften that edge there, Control-0 in order to fit. Now I have 4. And I think I have one last one that is standing on the swing. Oh no, that was a regular one. So I have one where he's sitting over here. So I would get that last one, put it in, make sure that you save it as a JPEG when you're finished. So you're going to go File, Export as JPEG. If you are still working and you're not finished and you need to work on it, perfecting it, you're going to save it as a Photoshop file. The Photoshop file will save all of these layers on the right-hand side right here. So you would go to File, Save as PSD. And that's it. That's how you create your multiple person. The key is taking the pictures. So if yesterday you took your pictures and you're not satisfied, or you did different angles, or you moved, or the lighting's different, I would take the time, take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, take the pictures again, because it will make your editing process a lot easier.